Okay, so one of the questions I was asked was, how do I know my car will fit? So I have a friend that has a Camry, and we're talking about her possibly buying a Model Y. I'm sorry, not a Model Y, a Model 3. I have a Model Y, and I also have a VW Jetta Sport Wagon. So I just try to do some comparisons. Obviously, I'm a more Tesla-based person because the first four cars are Teslas. Okay, so the way you read this is uh, the dimensions used given in inches. So a Model 3, 185 inches, which is 15 feet, 15.4 feet, and 70 inches wide, or 6 feet wide. Model Y, 187 inches, which is 15.6 feet, and it's 76 inches wide, or 6.3 feet. So it's about 3 inches wider and 2 inches longer than Model 3. Now, I've had a Model 3 in my garage. I had a loaner car. It was a Model 3. I've had a Model S in my garage. That was also a loaner car. Now, the Model S at 198 inches, or 16 and a half feet, and at 78 inches, 6 and a half feet, I knew it was kind of long because when I parked it, it went almost from the garage door up to the landing part of my garage. So my garage does have a 3-foot landing, and that's not part of the parking area. So anyway, the Model S took up all that space. And then I see that, I didn't really check the width. I knew it fit, but I don't know how it would compare with a Model Y in there. And then the Model X, Model X is basically the same size as the Model S, which surprises me because Model X looks so big. But I guess the S, because it's more, it's a sleeker design. I don't know. Maybe it's just the looks. Whatever. There it is. So those are the 4 Teslas. So I have a Y. My friend's looking at a 3. If I had the money, I'd probably buy a fairly old Model S just to have as the second car, but I haven't got to that point. And if Tesla comes out with a very small car, I'd probably buy that before I bought a Model S. But I don't know. We'll see. That's a ways down the road yet. Okay, so some other EVs I added in here. So I'm showing my bias, I guess. The Volkswagen ID4 is another car I would have bought if VW knew how to ship it and sell it. By the time I figured out how to ship and sell it, I'd already bought a Tesla, so that window closed for them. Unfortunately for them, but really great for me. Anyway, so the VW ID4 is 181 inches, 15 feet, and 73 inches, or 6 feet, which happens to fairly closely track to what my Jetta is. So that would fit into my garage fairly easily. The Chevy Bolt, not that I don't really like the Bolt, but the Bolt is essentially dirt cheap. In fact, the Chevy Bolt costs less than many ICE cars you could buy today. Anyway, so the Chevy Bolt, 163 inches, 13.6 feet, and 69 inches, so that's 5.8 feet. That's a lot smaller. So you could easily park that in the garage and have space to walk around. The R1T is the Rivian R1T, so that's a 27 inches or 18 feet. So that will not fit in my garage. There's no way. And that's a relatively short pickup, so to speak. I mean, it's a full size, but it's not as anywhere near as full size as a Ford F-150, which is a whole nother foot longer. And at 79 inches, well, it's the right width. It's just the length is way too long. Okay, so my comparison ICE cars. Now, I've already said I have a Jetta Sport Wagon, so that's my first comparison car. 180 inches, or 15 feet, by 71 inches, or 5.9 feet. My friend has a Camry, 192 inches or 16 feet, and 72 inches or 6 feet. So it looks like the Model 3 is actually somewhat smaller. Now, when I tried to park my Model Y in her garage, I didn't get the angle quite right, so I touched the mirror on her garage door. If I had did a better job of lining up, I'm sure it'd been just fine. And I include the Outback. I think that's what my daughter has a Subaru. So anyway, I include the Outback. So that's 191 inches or 15.9 feet. So, and the width is 71 inches or 6 feet. So the Model Y is slightly shorter, but also slightly wider, which is kind of a problem. The Model 3 is both shorter and the same width. But okay, whatever. That's, every car is different, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who go like, well, but what about my car? What about my car? All I did was look it up in Google and say model and dimensions, and this is what they gave back to me. So by reference, so when I was getting my Model Y, I painted my garage floor, marking out a spot with lines indicating how wide and deep a spot it would go into. Now, I didn't realize that at the time. I didn't get FSD, but there was talk about having automatic parking. I was kind of interested in having automatic parking. So I laid out a space for it. As it turns out, it doesn't have automatic parking, so it doesn't do me good, but it still gives me an idea where it's supposed to go. So the length is 199 inches or 16.6 feet. So the Model S fits in that by 1 inch by lengthwise, which I can confirm. When I had the Model S parked in, there was just barely enough room to pass in front of it on the landing to go to the front door. Now, if I actually had a Model S, I would work it out, but that was a problem. And anyway, the width of that spot is 90 inches or 7.5 feet. And so my Model Y is 6.3 feet, so that basically leaves a little over 6 inches on each side. Ooh, yeah, it's kind of tight. If I had two Model Ys, I'd have a problem. Like I said, the other car is a Jetta, so it fits in a little bit easier. Anyway, I was just working on doing a comparison, and this is what I came up with. Feel free to, measure whatever car it is you want to look at. Let's see, I think Audi's about the same size as a ID4. Who else would BMW? I don't really have an idea on BMW, and I'm sure that varies depending on which version you get. Who am I living? The Mercedes, I have no clue. I don't know. Who am I also living? Oh, the Polestar. I imagine the Polestar is going to be similar to Model Y and Model 3 in size. I'm not sure. I think they're just a little bit wider, maybe. And Volvos are probably somewhat similar. So I don't know. But anyway, this gives you an idea how you can go through and compare the results and see what you think. There you go.